Hello, everybody, and welcome to this exciting episode of the Joyful Money podcast. I know I'm always excited on this podcast, but today I'm bringing from one side to the other because I have such an amazing human being, amazing business owner, amazing coach, someone who has done extraordinary things in the world. And I'm just so excited I was able to get her on this podcast because she's going to give us lots of wisdom to help us move to the next level. I'm super excited for everything she's going to share on this podcast. So grab a coffee or tea, your beverage of choice. This is one of the best podcast episodes you'll listen to this year, I promise you. Welcome to the show, Dr. Naeema.
I am so excited to be here and have this conversation with you, Joy. This is going to be such a blast. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. In fact, I have been binging on your Instagram and on your website. I'm going to share all your links at the end, guys. But Dr. Naima, why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling us what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I am a reformed perfectionist, the ones that sit around and wait until everything is perfect before we take a leap. And so that created this amazing space for me to become and fully step into being present as a reinvention coach. And for me, what that looks like is helping women who were like me and just felt stuck in your success. When you feel like I've worked so hard to achieve all of these things, and now it just feels a little stagnant, or I'm in a new season and I'm not really sure what it is that I'm striving for anymore. I've maybe achieved my goals and I'm just feeling just like meh. And I found myself in that position. And the beautiful thing is when you've achieved a level of success and you sort of feel like that should be it and we should just be happy. What I discovered is that is not the case at all, that you continue to still grow and evolve, and there's so many more bright future and days in front of you. And so what I do now is help women who are in that place of just stuckness and really help them transition into greater levels of success as they define it in whatever season they're in. And it just brings me great joy to be able to have conversations, all pun intended, with women who are just excited about what it is that they're up to next.
Wow, I love that so much. And you touched on so many important points there, but the one that really stuck with me was when you said perfectionism. Like we can relate with we want things to be perfect before we take the action. And the point about happiness and fulfillment, like I've met so many women who are like, I have the lovely home, the white picket fence. I have the 2.5 children. I have multiple six-figure salary. Why am I feeling like there's something missing? Why don't I feel happy? Why am I sad all day? Why am I at the edge of being clinically depressed? Even though I have all the trappings of life. So I want you to, based off of your experience, dive into why most people struggle with this phase of trying to find, okay, what's next for me? Is this all there is to life? And feeling that stuckness. I don't want to say midlife crisis, but just questioning everything and like, what's this all about? So, how, based off of your experience, first of all, tell us your story because I know you were a chiropractor for 10 years. Tell us your story first, and then tell us about how you help women get unstuck.
Yeah, that is such a great question. And I think it's so important for us to ground us in like, what season are we in and whose model have we been following? If you have all of the ingredients for a cake and you're super excited and you're going to make this amazing cake, and the thing that you have just been so excited about is making this carrot cake, but the recipe that you're following is a pound cake. and you've got all the ingredients and you start making it, and it smells delicious and it's wonderful, and everybody in the house is excited because they're going to just dig into this delicious cake, and you take it out of the oven and you put it on this beautiful display plate and you set it in the center of your table, and everybody's so excited, but you're a little confused because that's a pound cake, and what you wanted and what you desired was a carrot cake. And I think that oftentimes in our life, that's what we are doing. We're following somebody else's recipe. That pound cake is delicious and it feeds people just like any cake would. But was it your desire? Was it your recipe? Is this the thing that you're actually looking for and that you're desiring? And I think that what happens for women is that we get to a season of in our lives and we look around and go, and at that point, that moment of hesitation, that's the moment what I think is an opportunity for us to look inward. That recipe that we have been following, while it may have worked for a time, it no longer continues to resonate. And for me, I had went back to school. I was mid 30s and with three kids, a husband, two dogs, a house. And I was like, I know this is going to be a great idea. I'm going to go back to grad school, but not like any grad school. I'm going to go back to a doctorate level program that's going to require like 10 to 12 hours of intense study for 4 years. And I think that's going to be a really good idea. And it was one of the hardest things that I was involved in for 4 years. And so when it got to my right around my seventh year in practice, I had gone through the 4 years, moved across my entire family. We moved across the country, and here I was, and I was supposed to be so happy. I had worked so hard and opened my practice, and I had this thriving practice and these amazing patients and this wonderful team, and I was doing well, and my kids had all, matriculated, and they were now, college, post college, living their life. And I was like, this isn't what I want anymore. And saying that out loud was so egregious that I just kept it inside until 3 years later. I'm a cyclist by love of just out being outdoors, and I crashed on my bike, and that sent me down a whole downward spiral of, oh my gosh, my whole life and all the things, because it required surgery, and I was in a lot of pain. And what I realize now, 2.5 years later, is that it was the greatest blessing that I could have ever experienced, because it gave me a big enough pause, because I'm a little
Mm.
hard headed. And that message from God had to be so loud to grab my attention, to say, this is the moment that you get to redesign your life. You get to choose what it looks like. What do you want, dear one? And in that moment, when I stopped feeling like I was trapped in my life and embraced what was possible, it opened up an entire world for me. And I sold my practice and just about everything that I owned, and went and traveled. I took my empty passport and went and traveled to 13 countries over 15 months, got certified as a transformational facilitation and coach. And now I run a practice that is far different than how I was serving before. Now it's a coaching practice. Now I get to serve women in the place that I was at. And I understand what it's like to look in the mirror and not recognize yourself, because you're in a new season and that season doesn't match the previous season. And it's not nearly as scary when you get to hold hands or link arms with somebody who is an advocate, who's so excited and who can see what's possible in sometimes in our limited vision of our own life. We do not see the forest through the trees. And when you get an opportunity to truly partner with somebody who can see the possibilities for yourself, I think that that's when we become unstoppable.
Wow. Yes, we become unstoppable. And this is so beautiful because I know how so many women struggle. Like just hearing your story and your passion, now I see why so many women want to work with you because you have the desire to help people stop suffering the way you were suffering, where you when you were still running your chiropractic business and going through all of the mess. I call it the messy middle. And that's why you're so successful. And that's why I'm so grateful that you're on this podcast today because so many women, like I said earlier, are so stuck and they are questioning what's next for me. And yes, there is so much beauty in working with someone who's been where you're at, who can see all the potholes that you cannot see. There's it's further ahead, right? So tell us, how do you help women get unstuck? How, because many people are listening right now and they're like, oh my gosh, do I start a business? My children just flew the nest. What's next for me? And they're having all of those questions. So how do you help women in your coaching practice? How do you help them get unstuck?
I think that when we start from who are we and
Mm,
truly get clear about our identity, because I think that what we all sort of have become are human doings. But we're not human doings. We are a human being. So who are you being? How do you walk in the world? How do you show up for yourself, for others? And who is it that you truly are desiring? So, going back to that recipe again, oftentimes we have followed a recipe that we have been told and conditioned and socialized to believe. And whether you're, male or female, we all have different conditionings. And no matter where you live on the planet, you have been socialized culturally and socially. And what I believe is that any season where there's a transition, that's the moment that you get the opportunity to start asking the questions. And oftentimes we're just not sure. And one of the things that I think is so powerful is asking better questions, right? Like if you ask yourself like, "Oh my God, why is it this way? Why am I like that you know, like why am I stuck?" I think that
mm,
if you ask a lower frequency question, what you're going to get is a lower frequency answer. So, what your ego starts doing is it starts whispering in your ears and it gets louder and louder and louder. And it tells you all the things that are wrong with you.
mm.
But I don't think that any of us, there's nothing wrong with us. We're not broken. We don't need to be fixed. Instead, I think you ask more elevated questions, higher frequency questions, higher vibration questions that lead you to discovering what's truly already there. We're not creating anything new. This isn't creating new energy, right? Like energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's always here. It's just in different forms. And are you actually seeing it? Most of us are not. We're not seeing the brilliance that is right in front of us. We're not listening intuitively to the voice that has been whispering and it's super quiet. And then it gets less and less voluminous because our ego and all of the things of the world and these sort of ideas and human consciousness sort of take over because they're human doings as opposed to being. And so, if you can get, not if, when you get quiet and you start listening to that intuitive sense to increase that volume, and you start listening and you start really doing the inner work. That's what we do in my programs because I think that when you start with who you are being, and then you realize that who you're choosing to be, some of those action steps, some of those things that you were doing, some of your activities, the doingness isn't in alignment with your beingness. And when you realize those are the moments in that self awareness that you get to take a look, do some reflection, and then in guidance then you start following your recipe and where you're truly desirous of. Where's your outcome? What's your vision? We talk about things like truly imagining what does your ideal life look like? What's an ideal day? And I don't mean that, oh, well, I saw on a commercial, or oh, social media says it should be this, or my mother says it should be this, or, my partner thinks it's no. What is your ideal vision of your life? And sitting with that, because oftentimes what I believe is that we don't give ourselves enough time. We don't give ourselves enough grace to sit with ourselves long enough to answer the questions, because sometimes they're tough questions, right? They're tough to do that introspection, which is why I think partnership is so great. And for my company and what I've decided with Every Damn Thing, which is the name of my company, because I want every damn thing. And I think that I am not alone in that.
Yes.
What we do is we create sisterhoods and group coaching so that in a safe environment where you can be surrounded with other women who are also on pursuing and on the same path that of self-introspection and becoming more self-aware. I think that those are the moments and the times and the energy and the bonds that we create that help lift us higher and higher and really can see ourselves, because sometimes we got to hold the mirror up for our sister. Sometimes we got to hold the mirror up so that other people's brilliance is reflected, because sometimes we can't see it for ourselves.
Wow. Wow. So many nuggets you just shared. One of the ones was when you talked about being quiet. I feel like so many women are so afraid of what they're going to find, right? When you go inward, you turn off all of your devices, all of those distractions. We're so afraid of what we're going to find. And I love that you're creating a community for women to feel safe to do that inner work. When you were talking about human doings and being, the thing that came to my mind was, I think the reason it can be so difficult is because we've been wearing a mask for so long. So since we were born, we've had to wear a mask to like fit into society. And now for us to reinvent ourselves, most definitely it will mean bringing down all of those masks, and I think that's where many women find it so challenging. But I love that you're creating a space for women to feel safe to do the inner work, because when they do this inner work, then they'll start blossoming and glowing exactly how you are doing now.
Yeah, I think that is such a great point. How we are socialized to believe and adopt somebody else's itinerary and agenda. And when we fully realize that all the layers, and to your point, it isn't just one mask we put on, we
Mhm.
have layers of masks that we wear. And sometimes they feel so familiar, we actually believe that it is us. It is truly our own hopes and dreams and desires until we spend enough quiet time with ourselves. And I'm a huge fan of meditation, and I'm really excited because I get an opportunity in September to spend 10 days at a silent meditation retreat. But I don't believe that you have to meditate for 12 hours a day in order to come to an enlightened state of you are tuning in to your own desires and what is the vibration, what is the frequency, how do you want to be, who do you want to to be in your ideal, the highest level, the vision that you have, for yourself. And once you start extricating some of those masks and realizing that some of the desires that you have been carrying are not yours nor have ever been, and when you get in alignment with that, I think is the greatest joy, truly, because that's where true freedom comes from. It's the lightness when you realize, like, hold on, it's like putting on a tailor-made suit or dress that somebody, the seamstress, took all of your measurements and created something that was only for you. And you put on this beautiful garment and it just hugs your curves and it fits you like it was designed for you. I believe that when we design our life to fit like a tailor-made garment is when we truly feel light and joyful. And isn't that what our world truly needs right now?
Mm.
Like we're in a time where what is advertised and what is, sort of echoed through this chamber is that there's so much discord, but I'd like to challenge that. I believe that most of the people walking around on this planet are just good and just generous and loving, caring human beings who have been distracted. And
Mm.
once we can get back to ourselves and we walk in our own light and joy, then that's what we're going to spread. And we're going to be joyful and we're just going to be better humans, right? Like when you are happy and when you are joyful, you're a better mom, a better wife, a better sister, a better employee or employer. You're just a better community member. You're a better sister, like whomever. You're a better friend. You just walk in the world. And I believe that it's all of our jobs to be a beneficial presence. And how do we do that? It all starts inward, not external. It's all an inside job.
Yes, it's all an inside job. And yes, when we are more joyful, we attract even more clients, which is what this podcast is about, joyful money, how you can attract money in a way that's joyful to you. So I can so relate to that. When we are joyful, we come across as more attractive. People are like, what drug is she on? I want some of those, right?
I'll have
So
what
that's
she's having.
super, super cool. Okay, so what are the signs that someone is due for reinvention? So some people are listening now and they're like, how can I check inward to see if I am ready for this path of reinvention? So what are the key signs that would tell someone, oh, girl, you're due to go inward and reinvent yourself?
I think that when you first open your eyes, or maybe you're laying in bed and your eyes are still closed, and you find yourself sighing or negative thoughts are coming to your mind, that you're not excited about your day, that maybe you find some dread in the things that are on your calendar for the day, your to dos are just becoming, that list is just becoming more burdensome. If you find yourself sort of robotically walking through your day, that you're not
Mm,
engaged. If somebody asks you how you are, you find that your answers sound more negative. If you find yourself complaining a lot through your day, if
mm,
you don't have something that you could reach for right now in this instant that you're
mm,
excited about, and I don't
mm,
mean the vacation, because here's the
mm,
thing. What we are conditioned to believe is, girl, you just need a girls' night out, or oh, you just need a vacation.
mm,
That's nice, but it sounds like you're managing stress. That doesn't sound
mm.
like you're eliminating it. It doesn't sound like you're working towards your vision. It doesn't sound like you're excited about your ideal life. Reverend
Mm,
Michael Beckwith, who runs the Agape Spiritual Center, says, pain pushes you until your vision pulls you. And I believe
mm,
that unless you're living from a place that your vision is beckoning you, that you're just sort of moving the chairs on the deck of the Titanic, that if you're just
mm,
moving stressful things from one place to another, or putting them off with the girls' night out, or binging on social just to escape, just for a
mm,
little while, or maybe you're finding it in food or alcohol or shopping. Like
mm,
those are the signs that, sis, take a look inward, reach out, like find a way that you can truly tap back into what gives you joy. because
Mm,
that's the beginning. I think of just asking yourself, like, what's possible? That
mm,
that's the beginning. What's possible?
yeah. Wow, that's such a profound question. What's possible for me, I wonder? Such a profound question. Thank you so much. Like, I know I'm gonna rewatch this episode over and over because you're dropping some golden nuggets. And I know so many people are so grateful that they are tuning into this episode today. So tell us, doctor, you made the pivot from a doctor to setting up your practice as a coach. How was that journey like? And what did you learn on your path to entrepreneurship?
Mm. I would love to say that I was sitting in a lotus position and there were waves and the ocean in the background, and I just heard God, and it was no, it would none of that. It was a lot of me in my very strong willedness, fighting and struggling and asking all the lower vibration questions
Mm,
and feeling so impacted and put on and put upon, and it was a really finely dressed up, highly catered pity party. I was having a really, really tough time after that surgery. And, I have a memoir, Raised as a Lie, that I wrote in 2020 when I finally fully embraced and accepted what it looked like to be little Naeema growing up in an all-white family in an all-white neighborhood and community, but being told that I too was white. When clearly, if you're looking at the show, these curls, they ain't white, and they ain't never ever been white. And I don't look like my blonde hair, blue-eyed sisters and brothers, and so when I finally came to that realization, reinvention is not something new for me. And yet, when seasons change in your life, oftentimes I think what we do is we're hardest on ourselves, and that self inner critic is just beating us
mm,
up and telling us all the things that we should. We should want this and we should do this and all the, and meanwhile, you're shooting on yourself and your dreams, and you're suffocating your ability and your communication with the divine. And when God can't talk and get through to you, then you can't see the blessings and what's possible. And so for me, that transition was tough. And I have a pretty thick skull and a soft ass. And so it took some months before I could really truly start climbing my way out. And it started with
mm,
what's possible in my life. And so I don't want anybody to imagine that for any entrepreneur, for anybody who's ever achieved any level of success, that somehow it's an easeful path, a journey of just bliss on top of bliss on top of, like, it doesn't always look like that, because we are human beings, and because we have lived in a world for which that has conditioned us outside of our own intuitive senses. And so it took me quite a long while. I went on that journey with my empty passport. And I got to tell you, at least the first 3 to 4 months, it was really, really challenging to
mm,
unthink all of the thoughts that had got me where I am, right? Like they tell you the
mm,
thinking that got you to where you are isn't the thinking that you need to get you where you're going, right?
mm,
Like it served you. Don't beat yourself up. Don't turn that into another should and another process where that somehow you're devaluing yourself, but just recognize that that thought process is limited. It took you as far as
mm,
it can, and so now you have to start opening yourself and and becoming more available for whatever the good, whatever the possibility, whatever more abundance and possibility that you're looking for, that like that's on the other side of you surrendering to what was, and being gracious and kind to yourself. And so those first 3 to 4 months of my travel was that, and giving myself back that permission to just be. And when that started to happen, and my intuition, those voices and those whispers and my connection with God just started getting stronger and stronger, that's when I knew that I could start beginning this path. But I think that for each one of us, we really do have to give ourselves time, space, and grace to really start embracing what is there for us. Otherwise, it's like looking through muddy water. You know, it's like, how clear is that really? How clear are your messages going to be when you're filtering it through something that's already dirty or burdened or well past its expiration date? Like, look for the opportunities when you can get them, of peace and space so that you can get still. I think is probably the greatest gift that we can give ourselves.
Yes, I totally agree, doctor. And I personally, I've experienced this, and this is why things happen for me so easily. Because the inner work that we do, all of this work you just described, the side effect is the outer trappings, like the clients, the wealth, the money, all of the things we are looking for is a result of doing this inner work. So I can so relate to this, and I'm so glad we are talking about this topic today. Next question for you. How has your faith in God influenced your journey in life, as well as your reinvention?
Mm, my goodness. On so many levels
Mm,
that I think that in my life that there were times, and maybe we all experience this in different moments and seasons in our life where we feel like God might be quiet, and we believe that maybe we have this sense of separation
mm,
and this lack of connectedness. None of it is true. God is never disconnected from us, but our own sense of this, you know, misbelief of being disconnected and having the sense of separation, I think is what allows for us to ruminate in a place of discord. And so
mm,
for me, those moments of feeling alone and isolated
mm,
are the moments where I recognize I can easily look back in the rearview mirror and see those are the moments that were the toughest parts and the toughest seasons in my life. And that was simply because I was not recognizing, seeing that God was always there. So for
mm,
me, being spiritually connected has been such a significant place in my life where that being me being on a journey of
mm,
recognizing and coming into a greater and greater awareness of who I am, of whose that I am, and how that I and my connection and my relationship with God is so important for me. And it is undeniably so. And I think that when in my doingness, in my busyness, because we wear busyness like a badge of honor. And as busy as I thought that I was in raising, my children and feeling like I just didn't have the time. And the
mm.
truth is that I was doing myself a disservice. And in the moments that I could get quiet and get still, that's when I started really truly focusing on those moments of peace and how that you can expand those moments and you can take it from just a brief, like, pause to a longer and a longer and more extended times throughout your day, where people talk about being in a constant state of prayer and thanksgiving. And I didn't understand that for the longest time. Like, how could you do that? Like, life is and all of these distractions, because it's where you place your focus and your center. And if you can center and ground yourself in a place of connectedness, then for me it has proven to be probably the greatest director in my life. Like, do you know when you feel guided, that you're not alone, that you are truly co creating. And that's what I believe, that we co create with the divine. And we call God and the divine and the universe by many, many names. But I believe that we are all saying the same thing, that whatever you call your higher power, however it is that you can connect in whatever way that looks like, because us judging it and somehow, categorizing it and putting it on some hierarchical level where somebody is better or lesser because we call it by different names, I think is an error in thinking. Rather, I think that we are all connected and understanding that we are all here on this planet. And for me, I define the purpose is to reveal and reflect the divine in whatever way that is our own unique giftedness, right? Like you have this amazing podcast and you share your gifts and your blessings and you share your guests with your audience. Like that is such a beautiful, unique gift that you give to the world. Like that is the service that you provide. And I think what a blessing that is. And so for each one of us, it looks a little different. For me, it has truly been such, it's almost indescribable what peace that I have gained by strengthening my relationship with Source and truly humbling myself and recognizing perspective, right? Like I am but a small part of this entire cosmos. And how can I serve in my unique way and my unique giftings? How can I serve and be a beneficial presence? I think that that has been a through line for me, and everything that I can do each day on, recentering myself in that place. Cause we all get outside of ourselves, but when I can recenter and refocus there, those are the best days.
Yes, that is so beautiful. And I love that you mentioned business because I personally see my business, my podcast, my coaching program as a playground for me and God to co-create. Like that's how I see my business and this podcast as well. And when you were speaking, the scripture that came to my mind was, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and every other thing, the money, the millions, the clients will just be added. And that's so beautiful. And it goes back to what you said earlier that we go inward. And personally, when I go inward, inward is God for me, right? So thank you so much. I can't believe how the time has just gone by. I'm just looking at the clock. I'm like, what already? But before I let you go, two things I want you to talk about. First is your current book. Tell us more about your current book and your upcoming book coming up next year. And then the last question I have is about your coaching program. You have an amazing workshop coming up on the 27th of August. I want you to also tell us about that. And guys, don't worry, ladies, don't worry. All of the links will be in the show notes. Take
Awesome.
it
I
away.
love that. I love that so much. I mentioned earlier that in 2020, I suffered from a heartbreak. And what
Mm,
I recognized and what I can see now in the rearview mirror, that it was the thing that had to occur to break myself open, so that I could do the inner work. And what that inner work, you know, ended up becoming, because it didn't start out to be that, was a memoir, was a book. It was me in therapy figuring out, why did I completely fall apart and dissolve, and lost all sense of myself and identity and where I was at. And it people come into our lives for these beautiful reasons to help us along our way. My belief is that life is happening for us
yeah.
always, that the universe is conspiring on our behalf. And that was the opening for me to write that book, Raised as a Lie, and how I could heal through that. And it was this beautiful, year-long process that ended up in truly me finding just this sense of freedom and lightness. And, it wasn't a year later that I had my accident. And that's not by coincidence, because the woman who began writing that book, Raised as a Lie, was not the woman who finished that memoir. Those were two separate women who wanted different things. And when I tried to squeeze this woman who had evolved through doing the inner work back into the woman's life, that version no longer fit. And then God
Mm,
said, I have another gift for you. Here's the cycling accident. Everything is going to look like a whirlwind and it's going to look a mess.
mm,
But to your point, Joy, that mess, that message that's in it, right? And so, what was on the other side for me was a brand new business, Every Damn Thing, and is a brand new book that will be coming out next year, Own Your Own Possibility Era, because I'm in love with possibilities. And 90 Days to Rise is the group coaching program that came out of me developing and creating and co creating this new business. Because what I believe is that you can, without a shadow of a doubt, turn your life into something that truly is your vision beckoning you into that ideal version of what you truly desire, your heart's desire, the thing that you only quietly whisper to yourself that you haven't even said out loud. I truly believe that that is birthed and emerges through this program that I co created with God called 90 Days to Rise. And as you said, we're getting started at the end of August. And I'm so excited about that. Bringing women through these cohorts has been such a blessing, watching these women transform. My goodness, it does my heart so good. Like I feel I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking of some of these women that I've seen do these incredible things on the other side of that program. And what a blessing to just be a conduit. Because what I know is that I'm a vessel. What I know is that each one of us who brings our gifts, who says yes, who answers the call, because those calls, as you know, Joy, they're not always easy. It's
mm,
not all bliss and lotus position and chimes in the background. Like, no, sometimes it's heart achingly, painstaking, trying to get it through. But when you birth that creativity that I believe that the divine is giving us as gifts, I think
mm,
that we should celebrate. We should celebrate watching how it lives in the world and how it blesses other people. And I'm just excited that I get to be in this place and helping women along that journey and along that path, because it's about partnership, right? Like
mm.
none of us is better than the other. It's just some of us know some different parts of wisdom, and we get to partner with others and share that. And then what you watch bloom and blossom, I think is pretty incredible.
Wow. Isn't it a blessing? Isn't it a joy that you get to do work and then you get paid? Like sometimes I feel like it should be a criminal offense for people to pay me. Like that's how I feel because just like how you just described is how I feel doing the work I do. And just hearing you talk about the work you do with women, I can see you're living your purpose on earth. And the fact that people get to pay you, like that's like more than winning the lottery. And it's such a blessing to do the work we do. So thank you for sharing your gifts. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge on this podcast. I will definitely have to bring you back because I cannot believe how fast the time has gone by. But I just feel a nudge in my spirit to ask you to speak life to someone listening right now. Um, because I feel like someone is listening, they're stuck, and your story really resonates. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to just speak life into the people listening right now.
Mm. It has been such an honor and such a joy speaking to you. And one of my favorite words, by the way, is joy. And the thing that I believe that God is trying to do through all of us, the thing that I believe that is calling you, the thing that you are listening to, because there's no coincidence, right? Everything happens purposefully. That the way that brought you to this moment right now where you are hearing our words and our voices, this moment at this time is no accident because your vision is calling you. It has been beckoning you. It used to be quiet and now it is getting louder and more noisy. And maybe it's feeling a little fearful that, oh my goodness, what would it look like if I stepped fully into it? But here's the thing, life is unfolding for you. Everything that you desire, the people that are waiting for your voice and your talents and your gifts that only that you can bring, that nobody else can do it in the way that you can do it because creativity has found you. It knows that you are the perfect vessel, the perfect way to bring it forward, and only you can do it. And in your saying yes, everything that you imagine that's the blessing on the other side is your yes. Say yes. Surrender this idea that it will be less than you imagine because, honey, let me tell you, it is greater than you can ever imagine because no promise that was ever placed in your heart was placed there without giving you the ingredients, the things that you need. You were already born with. It's already there. You don't have to go find it. You don't have to go excavate it. It's already present and it's available and it is so ready to be birthed through you. The only thing it's waiting for is your yes. Surrender to your yes. Just say it, embrace it. Know that the blessing that comes on the other side of that is greater than what you can ever imagine. Just say yes.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. This has been a blessing, Dr. Naeema. So listeners, all of the links is going to be in the show notes to the upcoming workshop, how to join Dr. Naeema's coaching program, the book, where to go get the memoir. All of it will be in the show notes. And I almost forgot, you have a free gift for us. Like when I saw this free gift, guys, I'm like, so great. A journal. Okay, I don't want to mess up this beautiful atmosphere you just created, but please tell us about the journal.
Absolutely. And the thing that I think that's so beautiful that we're talking about this now is what I believe is that God gives us these gifts and these ideas. And I think that God only asks us to say yes. And so in this quiet moment,
Mm,
I was sitting on my bed. It's a couple weeks after the surgery. I'm laying in my bed. I can't I can't get up. I can't pee by myself. I can't walk. I am immobilized and I am still and I am scared. And I don't know what I'm going to do because I have a physical profession. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. That means that you got to get on your feet. You are a vessel of healing for the patients that come in. This is not a desk job. And I was scared and I was laying on my bed. And what came through was the question like, what's possible? And so,
mm,
what I ultimately ended up creating was 5 prompts that started my process of asking higher, more elevated questions to take me from the place of feeling nothing but despair, but seeing the possibilities and watching that unwind so that it could unfold so I could see what was next. And it's a journal, it's a mini journal. And I think that it is so powerful that if you just take the time out to truly get quiet and get still and answer the prompts for yourself, what you will see is that your vision, that ideal version of your life, starts getting brighter and brighter.
mm. What a gift. And I cannot believe this is free, completely free. So, guys, Just, I see, guys, they are all ladies. Ladies, go grab your coffee. I am going to put the link in the show note. And thank you so much, Dr. Naeema. I'm not going to get tired of saying thank you. It's been a joy having you on this podcast. I cannot wait for you to come back because there's so much wisdom my audience can benefit from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What an honor.
Hey, very quickly before you go, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending time with me today. I hope today's episode gave you something powerful to add to your business toolbox, something you can come back to anytime you need a little extra motivation in your business. If you loved today's episode, the best way you can support me and the show is to leave me a review and also to share this with an incredible businesswoman like yourself. And if you're ready to create consistent 10K months with ease and alignment, I invite you to apply to join my 6 months mastermind. Visit joinrowland.com to book your free complimentary discovery call. I cannot wait to help you step into your next level. Until next time, stay aligned, stay confident, and keep creating joyful money. Bye for now.